Yeah, so my name is Thomas Pellegrino. I'm the head of business development at a company called InvestNext. InvestNext is a real estate investment management platform and investor portal that essentially streamlines the process of raising and distributing capital for GPs. With us, what we were looking for was ultimately to improve our connection rate or to have more conversations on the phone. Obviously, we are booking meetings across multiple channels, so LinkedIn, email, and the phones. But our best avenue right now is and always has been the phones. So we wanted to find a way to have more conversations. So initially, I follow a lot of my BDR leaders on LinkedIn, and a lot of them swear by parallel dialers. I've never been a fan of them in the past, but I decided to initially look at those. And then in the process, I've had a couple people that actually reached out and said, hey, look at TitanX. So I was like, oh, let's see what this is all about. And then I decided to look in TitanX with the 25% connection ratio. So that's what really enticed me to take a look at you guys. If you want me to be completely honest, I thought you guys were full of shit. Like, I thought there's no possible way that you could get our connection rate to 25% because we didn't use any type of parallel dialer or anything before. And I thought we actually had a decent connection rate. We were at about 8 to 9%. So I just thought you guys were full of shit at first. Yeah, no, I think the nice thing you guys do is the pilot program. So you actually get a chance and an opportunity to test it out and see for yourself how it works. And I remember when talking to you after the first conversation, it was basically like you're gonna see immediate results. And for us, it was that first day when I think we jumped on with you and Byron, and I had two or three of my BDRs on there, and we just kind of threw them right in and started calling. And right away, the first three phone calls we made were actually all connections right off the bat. So right away in my, like, obviously I needed to see more numbers, but right away that was like the immediate impact for me. I was like, wow, this actually might work. So that was like the immediate reaction. Yeah, I would say it was really just after the first day in general. We were sitting at a 36% connection rate just after one day. Obviously, it was a small sample size. It was across maybe 100 dials. The reason why the dials were lower was just because we were having more conversations on the phone and meaningful conversations too. After that, I would say for me, what was really compelling was the first week we were still at a high connection rate. But if you look into it like 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, we're still sitting at 25% connection rate and still having those meaningful conversations and booking meetings. Yeah, I would say I think everybody, right, in sales, they all dread July. It's usually, depending on what industry you're in, but July is always slow. It's vacation season. July is usually one of our slower months historically. And this month, it's actually ended up being the fifth highest month in company history for outbound. Main reason we got there was I would say 60 to 70% of our meetings that were booked in the month of July came from TitanX. I would say, I mean, for the month of July, that's like since we've been using it post pilot, our meeting results have doubled from last July. It's like a night and day difference. I think the thing with TitanX is that it's so simple to use and easy to use, and it really just speaks for itself. It just works. Like, I don't really know how else to explain it, but it just works. As soon as you get those leads scored and you put them in there and you're actually calling those P1s, it works. You're connecting with people, you're having conversations and booking meetings. I don't know how else to explain it. As soon as you start using it, you see the results. With our current workflows, it just fit in seamlessly right off the bat, just because we are already utilizing Apollo and we already had sequences set up. It's pretty easy to set up a call only sequence specifically to run these. And we just went out, ran it, and saw the results immediately. I would just say, just do it. You have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. I think everyone wants to be a skeptic at first of all these type of tools. Like, they're always promising specific connection rates or meetings and things like that, but this is one that actually works. And I think that was the big piece for me, was that when I had that first demo with you, it was like right away, you're going to see the results immediately. All I can tell you is that it works. And sure enough, it did. And have a lot of pissed off reps. That that's for sure. Because the nice thing now is, like, having TitanX now, I think everyone is getting used to that 25% connection rate, and they're getting used to having these meaningful conversations. And that's the most important thing right now, is that you're actually connecting with people and having conversations. It might not always lead to a meeting booked, but there's a lot of different ways to go about that, right? You go a top-down approach or a bottom-up approach when you're trying to book in these meetings, getting information. But also, we have ramping reps on our team right now. We have 4 relatively new reps. And the thing is, when you start cold calling, you know how it is for new reps, is let's say they go and make 50 dials and no one answers, and then they finally get that answer on the 51st. It's not going to be a smooth cold call. It's their first one of the day. With this, these reps are starting to get in that flow state where, they're having a connection every 4 dials. So they have that first connection, it goes pretty well, then they just keep going and going and going. And now when they're having these hour blocks of cold calling, it's so much more productive. Yeah, I think, how this kind of fits into everything now in regards to scaling and headcount and the team. I think the big thing is when you look at SaaS sales in general, a lot of people think, okay, more dials, more dials, more dials, right? And I think that's why a lot of people right now are going that parallel dialer route just because they want to get as many phones out as they possibly can. But essentially what it is right now is it's quality over quantity. We are actually calling the people that are going to pick up the phone and we're going to have a conversation with, instead of just sitting there and making 100 phone calls in an hour. Yeah, to be honest, I've worked for teams where I had my teams just go and dial, like personally dial a high volume of calls. I've tested out parallel dialers. I've never really liked them too much, to the point where we've actually went and ran it fully at a company that I was working at. And I think that's why I was such a skeptic for any tool in general, but specifically TitanX. But I like it just because the reps are now, they're one-off calls. They're not dialing 4 people at once. And let's say if 2 people happen to answer the phone, one's not getting hung up on. They're still focused. They can still do a little bit of research before they pick up the phone and make that dial to ensure that they're having that meaningful conversation. So how do I think this changes business development, and how do I think my reps feel about this? I would say, honestly, what TitanX has done is it's brought a level of excitement to outbound, right? I think obviously you and I, Rob, we're always preaching outbound to AEs and BDRs, and we've done it before, but everyone's like, oh, come on. No one likes to make cold calls. But what this does is it actually has a level of excitement now, because I remember when I first gave this to a couple of the AEs to test, actually. First, initially it was the BDRs, then I gave it to 2 AEs, and I jumped on a block with them, and I was like, all right, guys, let's go test this out and see what it can do. And that time, it was actually the first 4 dials they alternated. It was pickups, pick up, pick up, pick up, pick up. And right away, you could see it in their face. They were just excited. They were pumped up. They were actually having conversations. They're not just sitting there for an hour and no one's picking up the phone, right? So I think it's brought a level of excitement to the team. We're now booking more meetings. So we like to put everything through Slack. So as soon as a meeting's booked, everyone sees it. Everyone's celebrating it. Everyone is getting excited. So I would say across the reps, they're now actually looking forward to doing outbound, and they're actually looking forward to making calls, because they know, hey, when I make these calls through TitanX, I'm going to connect with people. I'm actually going to have a conversation. If I don't book a meeting, I can at least try to get some information and then take that to the right person. So the first day, I was on a call block with 3 of my BDRs, and I was just sitting there listening for feedback. I actually was just getting so excited that I took 20 to 30 leads myself and started calling with them. It was very enjoyable. It was super exciting. Like when you're in those group call blocks now, everyone is just pumped up. Everyone's very productive. It's more competitive too. For me as a whole, you're just seeing numbers increase across the board. I'm not having any negatives about it. It's all positive right now. So yeah, just looking forward to keep continuing to work with you guys. 25% connection rate.